Imagine that you dream about making it to the NBA. You work hard every day to become a better player and spend hours watching highlights of your favorite players. One night, your name is called in the draft and the journey of your lifetime begins. Then less than 10 games into your rookie season, your opponent is none other than your brother's team. Probability of that happening is close to zero. However, the Ball brothers made it possible, and for a night, the eyes of the basketball world were on the first professional matchup of Lonzo against his baby brother, LaMelo. It would have been reasonable to assume the more experienced brother would have had the upper hand in their matchup and probably come up with the victory, but the younger Ball came out with the last laugh, almost got his name written in the history books, and showed everyone that it could be a matter of time before we start talking about him as the best player in the family. According to NCAA data, high school senior players have a 0.03% chance of being drafted by an NBA team. That means most people are not likely to have a pro basketball career in the United States. And if we talk about siblings making it to the league, the numbers become even lower. However, while the idea of having multiple NBA players coming from the same household may sound like a fantasy, the truth is that it has become somewhat common across the league circles. Many fathers have seen their children follow their lead after having enjoyed a successful career. In other cases, 2 or 3 brothers from the same family will all find their way to the league. And while not all families have seen the same level of success, some of them have produced multiple elite players. Names like Thompson and Gasol were worn by different members from the same family during each of their respective championship runs. The name Curry has been associated with excellent shooting across 2 generations. And of course, there are also cases like that of Giannis and the Antetokounmpo bros. But even among the small group of families with multiple NBA players, some stand out. And at the moment, it seems like the Ball family may have become the most popular in the basketball world by a safe margin. That's not to say the whole world loves them. In fact, there may be people not interested in knowing anything about them at all. But finding an NBA fan that doesn't know who LeVar is or hasn't heard him talking about his sons may be a difficult task. At first, he didn't receive too much attention, but as his sons became more popular, he used their platform to start making questionable comments and quickly became known in the basketball world. And even though most of his claims have usually been absurd, it turns out he was right when he said all of his sons would become NBA players. Of course, middle brother LiAngelo is still struggling to make it to the league, but the door is not closed yet for him. And when it comes to Lonzo and LaMelo, it's hard to imagine things going better for the Ball family. Lonzo was selected as the second pick in the 2017 draft and was often praised by Magic Johnson during his time with the Lakers. 3 years later, Melo would be selected with the third pick in the draft and would also be considered as one of the players with the highest upside in his class. That way, they became the first pair of brothers to each have been selected in the top 3 of the draft. So, as should have been expected, their first game against each other drew the attention of a lot of people, especially since it was the first time the brothers were playing an organized basketball game on different teams. But even while their encounter may have felt like a win for the Ball family, the truth is their first matchup left a lot to be desired. First of all, even though both guards are very popular, neither is the best player on his team. In fact, neither is the second or third option on the offense of their respective teams. While LaMelo has been impressive in the first few weeks of his rookie seasons and is already receiving consideration for a spot in the starting lineup, Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier, and Devontae Graham are currently ahead of him in the Hornets pecking order, and things are not too different for Lonzo. The older brother's established himself as a quality two-way point guard in the league, but his inconsistency as a scorer and lack of aggressiveness has limited his impact on the offensive end. And considering he's surrounded by players like Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Eric Bledsoe, the Pelicans haven't needed to give him a bigger role. But even under those circumstances, there was a chance we could see a solid competition between the siblings. Instead, what we saw was a clear image of how the career of both players has unfolded so far. The brothers spent few moments guarding each other, but when they did, it was often LaMelo who got the upper hand. In a sequence during the second quarter, he was able to make an easy layup over Lonzo. Then, moments later, he made a three-pointer over his brother to close the third quarter. Neither brother shot the ball particularly well during the first encounter, but at the end of the night, the younger Ball had outscored, out-assisted, and out-rebounded his big bro. On the whole, LaMelo was a fundamental part of a 36-23 run in the fourth quarter that allowed the Hornets to come back from an 18-point deficit and ultimately win the game while Lonzo couldn't score any points during the second half. On top of that, he came an assist shy of becoming the youngest player in league history to post a triple-double, something Lonzo had also done during his rookie season. And while both brothers referred to their encounter as just another game, we can draw a few conclusions from their matchup, as well as from their respective seasons have been going so far. In the case of Lonzo, his game was just the latest performance in a season that has seen him putting mostly average numbers, despite his previous comments that he would be more aggressive this time around. Throughout 9 games this season, the older brother has had a few solid performances with the Pelicans. However, he's failed to score at least 20 points or post double-digit assists or rebounds so far. His shooting has also taken a step back. After averaging a career high in three-point shooting percentage last season, his touch from long range has regressed to what it looked like during his time with the Lakers, and his overall field goal percentage hasn't been too good either. All this is happening in what could end up being one of the most important seasons of his career. After all, he's in a contract year, and leaving a good impression on the Pelicans after his disappointing display inside the Orlando bubble was a goal of his. But so far, Lonzo hasn't fulfilled his prediction of being the aggressive version of himself that could be a triple-double threat in each game. Instead of playing like the star point guard most people believed he could be when he came into the league, he's been performing like a solid role player that's not deserving of the spotlight. And after every game that goes by, the outstanding performance he had during his second game as a rookie seems more like a coincidence than as proof of his potential. Of course, that doesn't mean the season is already a failure for him. He may need a few more games to adapt to running Coach Van Gundy's offense efficiently, and there's still a chance he starts playing a lot better as the season progresses. But time is running out for him to show he's more than just a solid starting point guard. However, things couldn't be more different when taking a look at the career of LaMelo so far. Despite the short number of games he's played, the younger ball has impressed the whole basketball world with his performances. After failing to make history on the game against his brother, he made sure to get his name written in the history books by posting a triple-double on the following night, breaking Markelle Fultz's record for the youngest player with a triple-double in league history. His excellent performances have earned him an increase in his minutes per game after playing roughly around 15 minutes during his first two contests. And despite being more inexperienced than both Rozier and Graham, he's making it difficult for Coach James Borrego to keep him out of the starting lineup. He's been able to put up amazing passing displays more than once while also staying aggressive on his way to the basket. And despite his shooting being inconsistent, he's never stopped looking for a way to score. But even when he's not scoring efficiently, he's finding different ways to make an impact on the game. Despite his size and the criticism of his defensive skills, he's been leading the team in both rebounds and steals per game. However, the most surprising thing about his game is the fact that he hasn't been posting empty stats for a mediocre team. Despite the low expectations heading into the season, Charlotte has been playing a solid brand of basketball, and a lot of that has to do with its prized rookie. His impact has been even more impressive, considering the team's starting lineup has been one of the worst five-man units in the league. The lineup of Graham, Rozier, Hayward, P.J. Washington, and Bismarck Biyombo has been in the bottom 10 in defense, offense, and net rating among all five-man units that have played at least 40 minutes together. That makes Melo's role off the bench even more important, as he's been able to stabilize things on the court with the second unit. And he's also managed to put excellent numbers when playing along with other starters. And while it's unclear whether Coach Borrego will decide to move him into the starting lineup anytime soon, he's already played all three of his guards together, and the results were positive for the team. So it may take a little more experimenting before any decisions are made, but if one thing is clear is that one Ball brother seems to have the potential to become a franchise player. However, it's not the brother who we expected a few years ago. All in all, LeVar must be feeling pretty happy about having two talented sons playing in the NBA, and for the Ball family, the success of both Lonzo and LaMelo must be a reason to celebrate whenever there's a chance. However, it's starting to look like one brother may have a brighter future than the other. Melo has long been advertised as a player with star potential, and even though numerous doubts were surrounding him, he's been living up to expectations so far. And while it's too early to predict he'll turn into a star and surpass Lonzo as the best Ball in the league, it's already starting to look like that might be the case. But now, do you believe LaMelo will have a better career than Lonzo during his first few years in the league? Or do you think it's only a matter of time before the younger brother comes back to the earth? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.